Good evening. Welcome to This Happy Guru. I'm your host, Kirsty Bentley-Taylor. Tonight, we're going to be carrying on the theme of ancient antidotes. I'm going to be looking, it's like a little series that I'm doing, looking at the power of all the ancient knowledge that we still recognize and we still have knowledge to in this time. So I started off last week with cannabis, which is still a very topic that's very dear to my heart. And we talked about how the plant can help you, how the particles of the plant, the differing particles of the plant can really give you different or sustain different needs within your body. And today I thought I'd carry on a little bit with plants specifically and carrying on again with oils. So I thought I'd do essential oils, which is something that I know quite a lot about. I've been studying essential oils and using them practically for the last few years, both personally, with my family, with myself, and also with my clients. And as I've mentioned before, my clients range from 18 months old through to like 80 years old. And I love using the oils with them. I always get a great reception. People are always very, very much taken by them. And it's one of the things that's really given me confidence to continue using them and continue really feeling in intuitively to how to use these plant medicines, these natural medicines, because I really do believe that they are. Essential oils have been around for a very long time. The history of essential oils is extensive. There's kind of proof written through old historical books and the Vedas and all sorts of kind of ways of the ancients being able to pass their message down, cave drawings, depictions on what they call it, like concrete clay pots and stuff like that. Sorry. And all about that. So, as you look back through history, it becomes kind of obvious that this knowledge is ancient knowledge, for one thing, but that it was very much heavily relied on for many different things, from health, from supporting your health and from healing, through to anointing people in ceremonies, and through to mummification for the Egyptians, through to spiritual releases and spiritual having spiritual undertones around certain plants, certain resins. If you think back to kind of like Jesus and what the three wise men arrived with, I don't think it's kind of any strange twist of fate that they arrived with two essential oils or two plants that would later come to have essential oils made from them very easily and very regularly, which was frankincense and myrrh, of course. So when we look at essential oils, we're really looking back along a long, long historical path of mankind, of how we've used plant life to support ourselves physically, emotionally, and mentally as well. And it's fascinating when you get into it, and you start to see how it is that the body accepts essential oils and how the particles of the plant are made up and how they're cultivated, when's the best time to make essential oils from plants. And it really requires a real deep level of knowledge about the plant itself and about how it grows, the environment in which it grows, when's best for it within the plant life to actually cultivate the plant. And I feel like in the world that we live in now, a lot of this ancient knowledge has really been forgotten. If you think about GMOs, which are almost, like the fast food of vegetable and plant and fruit life, it's taken it to completely the other extreme of the ancient knowledge that underpins essential oil and herbology. And aromatherapy and anything that's connected with using plants and herbs as a way of sustaining health, preventing disease, and indeed healing. And so as we look at the kind of the fruits and vegetables that we are taking on board now today, we're losing so many vital nutrients that the plant once provided. And it's important to look at the quality of the plant, quality of the food that you're eating for not only your, physical health, but also your mental and emotional health as well. As I think the majority of people, I know even Weight Watchers are kind of saying it in the UK now, that because the health of yourself, of your body, of your mind, of your emotions starts in the gut, which has been kind of talked about in the right circles for about the last 15 to 20 years, but really being kind of a message that's being sent home to sort of everybody, the general public, if you like, in the last sort of 3 or 4 years, particularly. I've heard a lot of it's become like a buzzword, gut health. It's become like a buzzword. I think it all kind of stemmed almost from irritable bowel syndrome, which became IBS. And just basically a blanket term for any funny tummy that you might have and anything that was related to that funny tummy, whether it would be anxiety, whether it would be panic attacks, whether it would be, not being able to digest or ingest certain foods without issues, without gas, without, all sorts of elimination problems. And IBS became this blanket, this kind of umbrella term for anything that went on down into the gut health. And more research was done on it. And slowly but surely, the scientists were verified and everybody sort of started saying, actually, they're right. There's so much to be said for gut health. It really is the corner pin to health within the body, within the soul, within the self. And so to use the best quality plants, to use and eat the best quality vegetables and fruit seems like a little bit of a no-brainer. And it's the same when you come to essential oils. There are a lot of essential oils on the market these days. I mean, over the last sort of 3 or 4 years, I've noticed essential oils dropping into more kind of common areas like shampoos, conditioners, those sorts of things, as well as body scrubs, bath foam baths and all that sort of thing. Used to be, I remember in my grand's day, she used to always buy essential oil products, and she used to come home with Radox and think that the chemist had done her proud, sending her home with Radox, which were based all around herbology and essential oils, but really had, very little actual essential oil or essence of the plant itself within the compounds. But now people are getting more and more aware, more and more conscious about the quality of the plants that we're eating, and fruits and leaves and anything else that you're ingesting, as to how it can really support the health of the body. And so essential oils are becoming more and more kind of a buzzword as well. And so I thought it was a kind of a really important topic. As somebody who uses essential oils every day, I can tell you that I notice changes almost instantly whenever I use them. I use them for my physical health, in terms of muscle relaxant and support. I use my body every day for my practice and my teaching, and obviously for just getting around and about, managing my family and my pets and everything that I have. And so I just kind of feel like to really look after my physical self is paramount. And so I use the oils on my skin for my skin health, for my muscles for my muscle health, also to combat any little breakouts or anything like that I have. I use them every day in my skincare regime. I'll use them for treating skin infections, for burns, for any kind of like fungal infection, that sort of thing, like athlete's foot. I mean, literally you can use it. There's an oil for everything. Like, this is what I say to the majority of the people that I talk to about essential oils. And because I'm such a big advocate, 9 times out of 10, they'll pick up on me because I'll go give them a hug or, something like that. And they're, oh, you smell nice. And it's like the perfect introduction. So I thought, oh yeah, no, I've got this on today, right? Oh, why is that? Oh, because I'm supporting myself through this. Supporting that, I've got this to do today, so I'm supporting that with these oils, because it's not just the physical health that they really support. They support the mental health and they support the emotional health as well. And when I talk about mental health, I really am talking about how your mind is of a day. Now, every morning I get up and I spend around 15-20 minutes just checking in with how I am. It's one of my daily practices. It's a rule that I live by. It gives me great presence of person, if you like. I recognize how my body's feeling. Some days I wake up with kind of aches and pains, and I've pushed it hard the day before in class or something and I feel it the next day. Other days I'll wake up and not feel quite as energetic. Some days I wake up and I could literally spring out of bed. Welcome back. I'm sorry about that. We had a couple of little technical delays. And as I was talking about essential oils, and I'm talking about the quality of plants that are used, and how the plants can really help, and the essential oils, the derivatives of the plant, can really help support your emotional health, your mental health. And like I say, I drop in every day to myself. I drop into the presence of that I have in my body, as well as how I'm feeling emotionally, whether I'm feeling a little bit a little bit sad or a little bit melancholy or something. Sometimes you just wake up a little bit like that. I've been dealing with a lot recently. I had the death of a family member a couple of weeks ago, and I've noticed that every day. I've noticed that I'm just waking up just a little bit heavy of heart, and it's something that I know that I can support myself through using certain oils. Now, I had essential oils introduced to me. I mean, I've used essential oils since I was about 21, and I first discovered them in Australia. But I've really only used them on a kind of what I call a base level, infused into the room to make things smell nice in a little posy, like my grandma taught me to do in the knicker drawer, that sort of thing. And it's only really since I started researching and learning about essential oils that I've really learned the power of them and how best to use them. And so there are three main ways of being able to use essential oils. Aromatically, this is where we have the whole aromatherapy genre, which is basically works on the fact that each smell from each oil induces certain reactions within the brain, and most specifically the limbic brain, which is the oldest part of the brain, and reacts very much with your sort of stress, fight and flight responses, those sort of things, those really fundamental responses that you have in your mind to external stimuli, shall we say. And so anything that on the outside that kind of triggers you can be managed by the oils as well, can be managed through your sense of smell. And this is where we have aromatherapy. Now, aromatherapy has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years now. Well, about 200 years, properly studied and documented down. But before then, it was used by people throughout history for various different things, whether it be for keeping plants in good health. Sandalwood has been used by the ancients to keep plants in a good energetic space, to keep them in a good health, and to rid certain plants of any little insects that want to get in and attack them and eat them. So that was something that the farmers would use sandalwood for. Lemongrass is something very similar as well, that has been used for years, the oils extracted from them and used for keeping away mosquitoes, lice, lots of the kind of the little bitey insects. None of them really like it. Arbor vitae, the tree of life, same thing. Within the resin of arbor vitae there actually is a natural anti-insect and insecticide type component that insects just don't like, and it protects the tree. So through using the essential oils of the tree, which are basically their own sense of protection for themselves against all the natural elements that might attack them. And if you think about the biology of a tree and the evolution of a tree and certain plants, they've been on this earth for millennia, like far past what we've been, how long mankind has been on this earth for. Some plants you can document back hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years, and are fossilized, and you can see through their DNA that their chemical compound of them, how they've evolved, but essentially they stay the same. The roots, excuse the pun, tip stays the same, but on the outside they begin to change and they begin to adjust, perhaps growing more slowly in certain regions, or growing bigger and bigger and bigger to counterbalance the way that the environment around them has changed. It's really fascinating when you get into it. But what we've learned from plants and from the power that they contain within them to be able to protect themselves from certain things by just developing different chemical balances within themselves is that we've learned that at certain times of the year, certain plants should be cultivated for one thing, and at another time of the year for something else. It depends on what's coming into their environment at that time, and the plant will actually change its chemical compound to counteract the outside influence, if you like, or to support itself from the outside influence, which is amazing. I mean, that's amazing. A little bit like we would put on a coat when it's cold weather. So when the cold weather comes, their chemical compounds change to be able to protect them from, for example, frost, to be able to protect them from when the sunshine starts coming out and all the midges start coming out and biting, or the insects, and all the flies come out at certain times of the year. They regularly come out with the moon, those sorts of things. All these things, all these external stimuli have been proven to have a reactionary response within the plant, which I find fascinating. That sort of thing to me is amazing. So to be able to harness the power that these plants have within them. And when I say plants, you can get essential oils from bark, from flowers, from the leaves, from the stems, from the roots. It's from all of these kind of parts that that you can draw out the goodness, draw out the power of the plant. So what it is that we kind of derive from the plants is a naturally occurring volatile. They're called volatile because they're literally almost alive. Whenever you open an essential oil bottle, there's one way of being able to test whether or not the essential oil inside the bottle is really pure. Okay, because there's a lot of essential oils out there that are mixed with alcohol, they're mixed with chemicals, they have been chemically reproduced, all that sort of thing. And one of the ways that you can really tell is by opening the lid and just wafting it around and then closing the lid back up again, and just seeing whether or not how strong the pungency is of the smell that you've released. So for example, if I do that with a bottle of lavender, and you open up and you just open up and pull around and then close it up again, straight away I can, like within like a second, I can notice the smell. And it's because each of the chemicals within the oil are volatile, which basically means that you open up the top and they go, woohoo, I'm free. And they literally launch themselves out into the air, and they're drawn out into by the moisture in the air. They're drawn out and then carried around by the air particles. And that's what really is a very easy way of defining whether or not an essential oil is particularly pure or not. And like I say, there's a lot of different types on the market, so be careful when you buy. They're found in all parts of the plants, and different plants are cultivated for different oils. Like for frankincense, for example, it's taken from the resin. Same thing for vetiver. And you can tell this from the oil themselves. That vetiver is a really, really thick oil. It's almost like a sap in itself. And if you hold the thing upside down, it will take a real, I'm saying like 20, 30 seconds maybe for one drop just to kind of plop out onto your hands. And it's a really, really thick oil. Some oils, like the citrusy oils, like lemon, lime, orange, very, very quick to come forward, very kind of almost watery in texture. But again, very, very powerful, and usually colored. They usually take on the essence of the plant in that sense as well. And they're the citrus oils, they have the oil derived from the skin, so that makes sense. So using these oils for health and support for your physical self, you're inviting the very fibers of the plant into your body, which of course your body, because we ingest and digest and live on plants as part of our diet, your body is very able and willing to accept essential oils on and into your body as a supportive method that will be recognized by the system. So nothing's going to come out and start fighting unless you're allergic to it, unless on some level your body's sort of saying absolutely not, like I don't like lavender, for example, just using that example again, and you might come up like in some sort of a reaction. Chances are you probably would know that by now, especially with a common oil like lavender. But also there are ways of, being able to use the oils so that you are helping your mental self as well. So like I say, when I drop in the morning and I feel to myself like I'm feeling a little bit sad or something like that, I'll go to an oil that has a more uplifting scent. And that would typically be like your citrus oils, your lime. Lime is the oil that's a zest for life. And certainly it feels like that when you open a bottle of lime and you take a sniff. It's a really bright, inviting smell that it's really, it just wakes you up. It wakes you up. It gets you sort of sitting up. You can almost feel like everything opens up in your face, your eyes open, your nose opens, everything, the way you smell, the way you breathe, your heart, everything just sort of goes, oh, that's nice. Same with orange, wild oranges. Wild orange is the oil of abundance. I suppose because if you look at the orange tree, it's absolutely laden with fruits. It's not just like, a couple of random fruits here and there, absolutely laden. Always, full, always bountiful. And the orange, if you think about it as a fruit in itself, in terms of its dynamic, it's rotund, it's round, it's full, it's bursting at the seams. If you just rub your fingers across the top of it, you can smell that beautiful orange smell. And when you break it open, there's a lot of water, there's a lot of goodness, there's that really rich, beautiful orange color as well, which is very inviting for the senses. And, you know, and it's just, there's not many people, if you think about, I always think about this with medicine, is, you know, when you have kids medicine, and there are, generally speaking, three flavors that are used in kids medicine, right? There's strawberry, there's orange, and there's mint. They're kind of seem to be the three that you come across time and time again in kids medicine. And I think it's because of the reaction in the brain to those smells. It invites the child to relax and to become, how can I say, kind of more trusting, if you like, of the oil, because the smell of the oil, of the medicine, because the smell hits into that limbic brain, and you associate those smells with certain patterns that I believe as well have been passed down through our DNA, down through millennia of experience now, through the DNA of our ancestors and our ancestors before, not just kind of the last, you know, your parents or your grandparents. But because when you introduce that smell into a medicine, a child associates it with something good. The brain clicks in, and it's something you can trust. And so I believe that that's one of the reasons that those are used. That and strawberries as well. Same thing with strawberries. You know, the taste of strawberry, and it's the same for, you know, whenever you introduce sweet stuff to children, yogurts, you know, tend to be very popular in strawberries and raspberries and that sort of thing. You know, sweets tend to be very popular, squashes, juices, those sorts of things. Oranges are very popular, one of those. And it's, again, I believe, you know, because the limbic brain just kicks in, recognizes, and you accept it. You don't struggle. You don't fight with that. You know, even if you're thinking, oh, what's that weird looking thing that mum's trying to, you know, force in my mouth to, you know, she's telling me I'm ill and I've got to take this thing. What is it? What is it? It's kind of this gloopy medicine on a spoon, and it's a funny white color, or, you know, an off white color, almost gray. And, you know, it doesn't look appetizing, doesn't look like real food. The color doesn't look right. You know, your eyes, your senses are saying to you, yeah, not looking like the sort of thing I want to be putting in my body. But then as soon as you come near and you can smell, you can see the child go, oh, all right, well, that doesn't smell too bad. And then again, of course, when you taste and the orange or the strawberry or the peppermint or something comes through, that's when the kind of the trust issues melt away, and suddenly it's like, oh, that was nice. And there we go. There stems then a lifetime of looking to medicines and looking to kind of pharmaceutical things on spoons to begin to calm down any headaches or any aches or any pains, anything like that. But it's a clever way of using the body to be able to gain trust. And the body recognizes it literally on a cellular level. This is another thing that's fascinating to me about essential oils. Essential oils work by being absorbed into the skin, or you can, in some cases, and I don't advocate this, but I do practice this myself. This is a personal choice, but I ingest essential oils as well. Only the purest oils. Like, I want to be specific in terms of, I use a brand who I trust implicitly, and they are certified pure, therapeutic grade, so the purest of the pure. The way that the plants are cultivated is spot on. They go through numerous different testings before they're released out for sale, all of which are independent. And so, you know, I've built a trust with this company. I didn't go straight into ingesting, but it's something that I've really felt into and felt myself through as well. You know, I've done a lot of kind of have a little bit, taste it, find out, see how I feel. Actually, you know, no repercussions, nothing bad. In fact, 9 times out of 10, I felt great afterwards. Specifically, certain blends that I would take for any sort of stomach complaints. It's like the reaction that my body has is almost instantaneous, especially to something like wind. You know, like, as a yoga teacher, I'm very used to being able to stretch my body and release certain aches and pains, especially around like the core area. There's various different yoga poses that I've been taught and have learnt are really good for getting rid of, you know, bloat or excess water, being able to stimulate a digestive system to move stuff around a little bit more quickly. But it takes time, and obviously you need to be in a certain situation to be able to utilize these movements and to be able to practice. But what I found with the essential oils that I've used, particularly like fennel and peppermint, the spearmint, peppermint, and fennel, particularly those ones together, they really help to alleviate any sort of bloating and any gases. If you're one of these people that eats and feels sort of quite tight in the stomach when you're full, like really, like you might have overdone it, but you've actually eaten quite a small meal, I would recommend trying essential oils initially on the outside. You can rub these essential oils over your stomach as well. And, they really help to relieve that pain and relieve that discomfort, as well as being able to let go of any gases and anything like that your body needs to let go of. So the way that essential oils work on a cellular level is really interesting. So they come in via the skin usually, and if you're applying topically, they'd be absorbed in by the skin. They're absorbed 100%, so there's nothing kind of left on top of the skin. And then they come into the bloodstream. So then the body is super, super clever, takes the oils exactly where they need to go. The message is going around the body constantly, telling the body what's going on here, what's going on there, how we can support this part of the body that's suffering at the moment, how we can support that part is, beyond amazing. I think the more I learn actually about the human body, the more in awe I am of this physical self, and the more I just couldn't love it. It's like, I just love you so much. But basically on a cellular level, the oils will get into the blood system, travel through the blood system to where it is they need to go, and then attach and communicate with the outside of the cell, which is like the nucleus, is like the brain, if you like, of the cell, and it's the reader of the cell. So it kind of, the outside of the cell is the thing that's going to allow the nutrients in, it's going to allow the goodness in, it's going to allow water, it's going to allow oxygen, everything that the cell needs to keep healthy. The outside of the cell is going to determine whether or not it can let it in. And then if it can, it will absorb it. And you kind of, get this kind of osmosis effect where it just draws in, and then it's absorbed by the cell and used as a reactionary. So then on the outside of the cell, you've got all these little kind of cell masts, these like receptors, if you like. You can think of them like as antennae. And they're constantly kind of looking out to see whether or not things that are in the bloodstream, in the localized environment, are healthy to be absorbed on a cellular level. And of course, because of the compounds of plants and the fact that the majority of them, are relatively, well, I said the majority, but there are a lot of plants that are very good for us, and that we can digest easily, and that we can actually absorb energy from, and nutrients and all the other things that we need. And so when the little mast, the little antennae on the outside of the cell recognize these compounds, these chemicals that are brought in through the dynamic of an oil, they absorb and they accept that into the cell. And so that can help with cellular health completely. It can help with being able to keep the cells healthy, for one thing, but also with apoptosis, which is the reaction that the cell has when it becomes sick, which is basically to kill itself off. I've spoken about cellular health before on a previous show, and how amazing all of our cells are. But they're looking after us on, on every level. And the majority of disease comes down to cellular health. The majority of the diseases that we experience as human beings comes down to whether or not cells are functioning properly. And there's different things that affect the functioning of a cell. And, we know these things. We know about nutrition. We know about keeping, good exercise so that we can keep the heart healthy, keep the blood system, circulatory system, the respiratory system, the endocrine system, everything kind of moving as it should, so that everything's not stagnant. We're getting to know more and more through the quantum field about how energy impacts our cellular health, and what that helps to do or disables us to do, depending on how healthy your energy is. And of course, we know about emotional health, again, a topic that I've spoken about before, about how emotions can affect your cellular health. They are literally read by these little masks on the outside of each cell, and that's part of the environment. Your emotions are part of the environment that the cells are reading, and reacting to, responding to. So the compounds in these essential oils can help on all those levels. These little masks can allow that in, and not only will they begin to detoxify if that's the oil that you've been using, they can also, like I say, stimulate and encourage apoptosis if that's what needs to be done. They can cleanse, clear, and rejuvenate. Frankincense is an amazing oil for cell rejuvenation. It really helps to detoxify and clear out cells, but also to give them like almost a massive boost of vitamins and minerals and all the sort of things that they need to be healthy. And frankincense is an amazing oil as well because it also maximizes the the good properties of the other oils that you bring into your body or you use regularly as well. So, again, going back to Jesus, there's a reason that the wise men were carrying around frankincense. And it's said to be the king of oils. It's the oil of truth when we look at the emotions. So it's reveals deceptions and false truths. I'm reading from various different books over the last few years when I've been doing all my research on oils, primarily really, I suppose, sparked by the undeniable reactions that people have to these oils. Like I say, I work with a vast range of ages, and right from the little kids, and I just do this thing where I put a little bit of oil in their palms, and we do like a magic rub, and then we smell, and I ask them different things about it. So if I give them a blend, I will ask them what smells that they can smell, so they get to begin to isolate and recognize and really use their senses, finite their senses using the oils, which is an opportunity you don't get to do a lot with children. You don't get to, even if you put a plate of food in front of them, it's very rare that as a parent, I would even say to my children, like, smell your food, like engage with the food, engage with it on a sensory level, and I know certainly the majority of people that I know, the majority of mums and dads that I know, it's as much as they can do to get a healthy plate of food into their children, let alone getting them to explore it and enjoy it on a sensory level. But this is something that the oils can invite in as well. They can invite you to experience life on a more sensory level, inviting you to invoke in the sense of smell to whatever you do, and repeatedly using different oils for different things. Like, for example, when I do my yoga in the morning, I'll often use patchouli, which is the oil of physicality, really helps engage your mind and your body in as one. Vetiver, which is very, very grounding. Vetiver is a beautiful oil for really keeping you centered and grounding, connecting in with the heart space. Rose oil, again, very, very expensive oil, but pure rose oil is just beautiful. It's a heart-centered oil. It's really to be used for any heart-centered activities, which includes self-care, which includes like self-love, self-care, looking after somebody. I always feel like rose is a little bit kind of associated with, like, older women or something, a little bit like lavender is, I suppose. But also, the beauty of like the jasmine flower and that sort of oil as well, for being able to really invoke a certain idea, a certain sense of a certain person or of an environment that you were in. Jasmine for me will always invoke memories of Thailand, because outside my house we had all these beautiful jasmine bushes, like night jasmine. So as soon as the sun would go down, this stunning smell of jasmine would just waft all around us. And so jasmine for me will always invoke that memory, and it can't help but lift my heart because of that memory. And so when you use if you use aromatherapy, the oils, to be able to invoke attachments between sort of good feelings or good actions that you take for yourself, you'll be able to stimulate the brain into regenerating the feeling of happiness or joy or hope or whatever it is that you were generating when you were engaging and really building this kind of unison, this unification of action or emotion with smell. And you can then kind of regenerate these feelings wherever you go, whatever you're doing. So there are certain oil blends that I really lean into. during the day, for example. I have one kids class in the week that is, it's high energy. And this is the one with like what I call the little dots. So they're from about 18 months to about 4 years. And the class has to be able to keep up with them, kind of super energy. It has to be quick. It has to, because their attention span is so short and they're distracted so quickly that it has to almost be within the sort of 45 minutes that I'm with them, short, sharp bursts of energy filled and then calming down. I kind of have to go through all this little rundown of how my class is going to go. But I always use the oils, and I use them at different times. So I use the oils to really invoke a feeling of life and a feeling of interest into our class. And then again, at the end of it, use another oil to help calm them down, to help get them to center inwards, to help get them to focus in on breathing, which is, I mean, the oils have been amazing for that. If you've got young children, if you work with young children or children of any age really, but certainly young children where it's hard to get them to communicate their emotions, or to get them to sit down and calm down quite quickly, I would definitely recommend using essential oils to help with that and to begin to build an environment of calm and an environment of study if you need to, an environment of peace if you're asking them to calm down at the end of a session, something like that. You can diffuse these into the air as another way of being able to use them. You can fill a whole room with a beautiful scent of an essential oil. And then when people walk in, they immediately feel the emotion or the alignment that's been created within the mind and the sense of smell for this oil. So often something like lavender, again, something like vetiver, combinations of these would really help to be able to ground down children and adults as well into their environment, so that you've got a more focused mind, a more focused person to be able to work with. I've had such amazing results from that, like I say, and even from the little ones who really aren't present in anything that they're doing. But I can get them to isolate smells. I can get them to really begin to picture and imagine. And especially from the little ones who are often sort of struggling for complete sentences. If you know any 2 or 3 year olds, you'll know that their dialogue is just beginning to come, and it's interesting to watch them sort of fathering around for words that it is that they want to use, and expressions. And often this is where the idea of terrible twos comes in as well, because they just can't quite express. But using the oils, you can give them a way of being able to kind of almost calm and center as well. So I'll often use either wild orange with the children, or sort of incite inspiration and begin to picture. I've noticed that wild orange is a great one for getting children to imagine. So again, I just drop a little bit in their hands, give it a little rub so that you get that whole aromatherapy idea. They cup the hands over the nose and take a deep breath in. And then I can talk through almost a guided meditation with them in terms of walking through an orange grove, for example, and they'll close their eyes and they'll imagine that they're in there. And, and often ask them questions along the way. What is it that you see when you look up? How many oranges can you see on the tree? And, the different children will obviously have different responses to that. But it's a way of really being able to engage the mind very quickly. And again, I think that's why the success for the emotional and the psychical problems and issues, challenges, if you like, that we'll have going forward. So for really being able to calm down and center and meditate, there are a lot of oils that really ground you down. If you suffer from anxiety, depression, nervousness, panic attacks, anything like that, try the essential oils. And again, it's about teaching your body. It's about teaching your mind. So it's not going to be, oh, I've used it once and it didn't work and that's it. It's about training, and it's about teaching, and it's about empowering your body to learn. So regularly using things at certain times of day, um, regularly using, for example, when you wake up, using lavender, for example, when you want to calm anxieties. Sometimes I know I wake up when I'm really busy with work and stuff like that, and I've got a lot on with the kids, and it's just, I've set my intentions the night before. I know what it is, but I'll wake up early and almost my brain goes straight into the monkey mind, straight into thinking. And before I get up, I've had what feels like a million thoughts. And if I notice that, so, by my bedside, I've got a little thing of lavender. If I notice that, I'll calm down just by rubbing a little bit of lavender, either dotting it on my temples, on my back of my neck, behind my ears, even on my chest, around my throat chakra, where it is that I can really smell and engage in with the lavender. And apart from the calming stage, I find it calms the inner chatter as well. Lavender is the oil of communication. And I find that actually it really does help. It helps him to communicate in with like with myself, with the voices in the head, if you know what I mean, with the kind of constant chatter. It enables me to communicate and say, calm down. And it also helps with insecurities. I'm just reading through, I've got this book, Emotions in Essential Oils, which is an emotional reference guide. This one, you can get it off of Amazon. It's about 20 quid. It's fascinating. And one of the reasons that I think I have felt so much into what I use the essential oils for. And like I say, the more I learn about them, the more fascinated I become, in spite of all the kind of the physical benefits that I've experienced since regularly using essential oils. My skin health has been amazing. My nail health has been great. I use essential oils on my hair as well. And I don't experience sort of split ends, dry hair, anything like that. Which I used to. These are changes that I've experienced in myself. I found that my skin's become clearer. I was suffering a lot in Thailand from breakouts, hormonal breakouts, and I've noticed that since regularly using the oils and ingesting as well, that has really altered and affected that. I feel like my skin has better quality. Like I say, for my muscular health and my my ligament health. I've got a kind of I'm going to call it a dodgy right knee, but I can really feel the cartilage going in that right knee. And I use a lot of marjoram, wintergreen around that to be able to support that knee. And there's definitely a difference that I feel once it's been applied, even to the point where, I don't know if anybody's got any cartilage issues, you'll know that as you move the joint, you can hear it almost crack like kind of tissue paper underneath the skin. And once I've applied the oils, I find that goes away within about sort of 3 or 4 minutes. And that's how quick it is. It's not like some things that I've used before where I've had to kind of rub them on and apply, and I'm diligently waiting for sort of 10, 15 minutes before I feel any sort of difference. And it's not really the difference I was looking for. This, the response that your body has is so quick and so obvious that it often can't be denied. I often use blends that I make up for my clients for helping with different things as well. I just recently made up a blend for a friend who's experienced anxiety and panic attacks. Again, he's finding it really hard to sleep. And he's not at the point where he's looking back so much. He's not really going back into what might have triggered this and where it comes from. He's just really at that point of wanting to almost survive the state he's in at the moment. And he's really found it very beneficial to be able to use the oils, especially, just before bed and at moments of high tension throughout his day, which are brought on through work triggers, through money triggers, that sort of stuff as well. And I've got also a friend who is using them to help support the removal of an addiction in his life. And this addiction has been massive for him, fully intense, encompassing his whole life for more than 20 years. I think we're looking at probably about 22 years. And so coming out of this addiction has been challenging, but he's found great comfort in the oils. Again, I've done a couple of different blends for him using the oils, using my knowledge from the oils. I also use an essential oils book called Modern Essentials, which is a contemporary guide to the therapeutic use of essential oils. I'll show you the front cover in case you're interested. They do also have an app as well, which I find invaluable. I'm constantly looking at my app, especially for myself, actually. I find it's very easy just to go on and be like, oh, I'm feeling this today, and you just put in something. Or if a client says to me, I'm really suffering, I've got really bad arthritis, it's like, oh, okay, let me have a look, put in arthritis, and up it comes. The information that's available to us about essential oils and their uses and how you can benefit from them is everywhere. Look on YouTube, look on Google, it's everywhere. Just Google what the symptoms and essential oils, and you'll find a load of different things coming up. I'm using it for another friend who's treating seborrheic dermatitis, which is a bit of a seasonal affective disorder, really. It's kind of the sort of thing that comes when the season changes. You'll get big dry patches, and the same thing for eczema flare-ups. This time of the year when everybody almost comes indoors, and we've got central heating kicking off in the UK anyway. And for any of you who are sitting somewhere beautiful and warm, don't rub it in. But over here we've closed all the doors now. It's cold. It's January in the UK, so it's cold. The central heating's up and on, and you get a load of different stuff coming in from that. This is the time of the year when allergies really begin to kick in again, after the reprieve from summer. And you really begin to get a few allergies kicking in now as well, with certain trees that will disperse, but also from different things from being in the house, dust mites, mold even, that sort of thing. And even just stagnant air, even just kind of a dusty air, can often kick off a sensitivity. And again, you can use the oils for that as well, to be able to clear the airwaves. What happens is when your nose gets blocked through colds, excuse me, through allergies, the capillaries in the nose kind of blow up and draw in more moisture, more water, so that they can then flood the nose. And this is obviously why we have kind of like a runny nose. So it can sort of flood the nose to be able to wash out the thing that has been drawn in by the nose in breath, that is an irritant. And so the body just wants to sort of flush it all out. And that's why we get this constant runny nose. But certain oils like peppermint, for example, and eucalyptus, are amazing for opening up the airways. Just from a smell, your airways will respond to that, and they'll open up and they'll enlighten, and you can breathe again more easily. And for people with asthma, and any kind of respiratory issue, eucalyptus is an amazing oil. It literally helps open the capillaries and the cells within the lungs, within the bronchial tubes, which are the little tubes that kind of feed out into the tissue of the lung, and can get infected, can get inflamed, can get tight. If you think about bronchitis, it's where kind of all of the bronchial tubes are really blown up through inflammation, and everything in your chest feels really tight. Just breathing feels labored. And again, eucalyptus and peppermint, rubbed on the chest in an upward motion, can really help to relieve that. And the eucalyptus will be absorbed straight into those tubes, straight into the lungs, into the bronchial tubes, into the capillaries surrounding that, and will begin to dilate. They literally dilate the tubes and the all the sort of stuff, all the veins and all the parts of the lung that need to dilate because of the constriction that they've gone under, in response to the stimuli that they've had. So it's fascinating. There's so many ways of being able to use essential oils. So you can use them for your respiratory system. You can use them for your circulatory system. You can use certain oils to help break down fatty deposits that you can sort of clog up in the circulatory system around the arteries and those sorts of, the veins and all sorts of stuff as well. So you can use essential oils to be able to do that too. They're great for being able to relieve symptoms of MS, of fibromyalgia, of autoimmune systems that affect almost the fibers of your body as well. There's a particular blend that I use, which is like a soothing blend, that is fantastic in massage. Again, just really begins to get into the base cell of the tissue and just breaks apart the inflammation. Whenever you feel anything tight on your body, it's an inflammatory response. So if you ever feel like, when your muscles are tight, you can feel them and it's like, oh, that's an inflammatory response, whether it be through the surgence of lactic acid, or whether it be through the fact that, they brought on a load more water just to be able to kind of process any of the toxins that have been released. Then also there's different ways of being able to use oils for your skin. I've mentioned frankincense earlier. Frankincense, again, is a wonderful oil for skin health, for cellular health, for inducing collagen, and that sort of thing. Geranium is a beautiful oil. So for me, it's a very strong oil, geranium. And it's very, very floral. If you're not into a floral oil, it's a very, very floral oil. But it's amazing for the skin. It literally gives you this kind of like glow, like you've been around sort of pinching your skin, like, like they did sort of in the early 1900s. And instead of using blush, they would just go around like, pinching their skin to get the kind of the circulation to kind of come towards the top of the skin. And so geranium is an amazing oil for skin health. Fantastic for if you want that beautiful glow, if you've got like a wedding or a night out, if it was just like a date night, something like that, just a drop of geranium in a carrier oil, and a drop of frankincense in there as well. Come out the shower, apply that on, and you'll soon look like you're glowing. It's lovely. So there's lots of different reasons and ways that you can use the essential oils to help support your skin health and your the health of your body in terms of this physical self. But what I suppose one of the things most interesting to me as well is the emotional response to oils. And I think that's where I've been really taken aback because as I say, I've used oils before for physical stuff. I've used lavender for burns. It's a very famous treatment for burns, or a natural treatment for burns. But I hadn't really thought about all the emotional stuff that comes with it. And I didn't know about the association between the oils and the limbic brain, and how instant, if you like, it's just literally boom, and things change for you. They're great around emotional stuff like a trauma. They are some of the blends that I've used for some of my clients who have been through some really quite serious traumas in their life, have been huge helps, have enabled them to open up, have enabled them to trust and to talk. Even some of them have sort of said to me, I've never spoken to anybody. I haven't spoken to people about this for years. I've never spoken to anybody like this before, about this. I usually bury it so far down that it just doesn't come out. And it's no skullduggery or trickery. It's just the power of the oils. They literally hit into the mind, hit into the heart. And, things that need to be expressed are expressed. Doors that need to be opened so that you can walk in and begin to look at a situation and perhaps work on it and rectify it if it's damaging to you. They will help you through every step of the way. And that's literally been my own personal experience and an experience that I've had with my clients as well. And indeed with my family members too, when I've given them oils and I've just sort of said to them, like, just use this, see if it makes you feel a little bit better, a little bit brighter, a little bit more upbeat, all that sort of stuff. And like I said, when I'm using the oils for the kids, I use one called Motivate, which is it's essentially a kind of it's peppermints, it's oranges, it's citrus. It's one of those oils, it just literally, you smell it. And this is like, it's a shame that I'm not in a big room with you all, that I'm not sharing this space with you all, because I would love to sit you all down and just literally get out all the oils. I've got there must be over 100 now. I must have literally over 100 oils now. But each one of them, I'm just almost, they're like friends almost, like I'll open a bottle of Motivate and it makes me want to smile. It goes straight up. I can feel it go straight up into my brain here as well, and just begins to kind of open. Motivate would be one as well that I would have in the car if you're doing long journeys. And Motivate, this is by doTERRA, which is the brand that I use. But the Motivate, especially when you're in the car, you've got a long car journey and you just begin to get a little bit, the feeling when you've been driving and it's like, the eyes are beginning to sort of get a little bit heavier. You're shifting in your seat. Really should be stopping, but it's only another half an hour till you get there. So you're going to push on, but you are getting tired and you recognize that. So I would get Motivate and either pop it a little bit onto my fingers, and rub it either onto my clothes so that I can constantly smell it, or even just rub a little bit under my nose or onto the back of my neck so that it begins to go straight into the blood system and begins to sort of pick me up a little bit as well. It's got peppermint in it, Motivate, so I wouldn't necessarily put it too close to my eyes, but certainly underneath the nose. And as I breathe in, there's that kind of fresh mint flavor smell. And there's also definitely citruses in there. I can smell orange. I think I can smell like tangerine or something as well, and these really vibrant citrus oils. And it just kind of, again, it just opens me up a little bit, opens up my mind, opens up my eyes, opens up my senses, brings me a little sense of life. and does what it says on the tin. It motivates me. So a great one for driving. Peppermint's another great one for driving as well. It's a very bright oil. So also a great one for headaches, and any sort of stomach ache, anything like that, any digestive issues. Again, can be rubbed on the stomach, can be rubbed on the lower back. If you're taking it for heartburn or something like that, the right oil even can be ingested. If you feel into that and you think it's the right thing for you to do, that can be ingested as well. But rubbing it on the belly, rubbing it on the heart for heartburn, and within a few minutes you're relieved from this. And again, that the fact that the body responds so quickly to the oils and to the power of the oils, to me, is testament to the strength that that we have in plants. It's not just they're not just things that we can eat. It's not just a salad. There's real power in these plants. Coriander, for example, is amazing for shifting fat, soluble fat within the body. Grapefruit, again, is another one that's great for diminishing toxins and being able to burn fats. And as a side note, grapefruit is amazing to use emotionally towards the way you see yourself. So let me just find this in the emotional oils. Literally, I've just been able to turn straight to it. Thank you, universe. Grapefruit is the oil of honoring the body. And this emotional oil book, I'll just read it out to you quickly, teaches true respect and appreciation for one's physical body. So just that first line, when you think about how powerful that is, when you think about the kind of, the obsession that we seem to have at the moment for looking a certain way and, holding true to a certain ideal of what is beautiful. And, again, we've had kind of all sorts of stimuli outside and around us, the media and social medias and that sort of thing. Magazines, in my day it was the depiction of Barbie, I suppose, and dolls and that sort of thing started straight away, didn't it? The minute dolls were born, they had these like big round eyes and this perfect skin, and a lot of dolls and stuff came with kind of blonde, lustrous blonde hair and these perfect little nose features, perfect little lips, and it all designed to look the image of perfection, somebody's image of perfection, and it's led to a lot of dishonoring the body. It's left a lot of negativity in terms of body image. So imagine how powerful grapefruit could be for teenage girls, for example, going through puberty and really beginning to feel supported by the tools that they've got around them, rather than feeling negative and feeling insecure and feeling critical of their bodies, and taking that criticism and all that negative self-thought through life, certainly the first part of life with you, until you begin to recognize perhaps the truth about your body. But certainly, teaches true respect and appreciation for one's physical body, supports individuals who struggle to honor their body and are caught in patterns of mistreatment. So if you're constantly dieting, if you're not eating, if you're using substances to suppress the appetite, that sort of thing is really dishonoring the body, and so it's, forms of abuse may include severe dieting, judging one's own body weight or type, abusing the body through negligent behavior or violence. These acts are often motivated by hate and disgust buried within the psyche, which gets directed towards the physical body. Though the individual may obsess over how they look, deep down they never feel they look good enough. There is a dissatisfaction that persists. And then it goes on to use how grapefruit oil can often be misused. Obviously it has a certain power, and then it can be harnessed and misused, again, to mistreat the body. So it's really about being able to use these oils responsibly as well, and with an intention and a mindset to actually heal and support yourself, rather than a quick fix, rather than the idea that you can get over something, or you can change something, or you can manipulate something to your own gain. It's really about looking at yourself and seeing where it is that you can support yourself and why it is that you need to support yourself there. That's really I suppose, the holistic approach, the long-term approach to health, and using the oils to support that in terms of your mental health, in terms of your emotional health. And the oils in terms of the mental health, again, being able to calm the monkey mind when anxiety kicks in, being able to smell something, to take something, to use something that immediately begins to calm the mind and begins to detach away from thought patterns. If you're not a very good sleeper, lavender's been prescribed for years for not sleeping. But there are other oils as well that really help the mind to relax and to let go, and to kind of invoke memories of childhood, perhaps where sleeping was easier for you. Ylang ylang is I think the oil of connection with the inner child, and that's often present in a lot of kind of sleep blends, just simply because it connects in with a time when life was more simple, connects in with a time where there weren't so many distractions, there weren't so many responsibilities, there weren't so many things that needed to be done. That kind of anxiety when you close your eyes at the end of the night, you think, oh, I must do this, I must do that, I must do all this sort of stuff tomorrow. And then you wake up with that anxiety the next day. And irrespective of the length of time that you've had to rest, you don't feel rejuvenated. You don't feel as though you've had the time to, I suppose, heal the body and let it rest, because some part of you has constantly been worrying on and on and on about all the things you've got to do tomorrow, and so being able to use these oils to be able to let go of things and manage things and give your body, your mind, your emotions, your soul the opportunity to rest like it needs to is really, really important. There are often a lot of oils as well that you can use to help with a sense of spiritual connection. And that's really kind of what I wanted to talk on a little bit about now. One of the blends that I use very frequently in my meditation, I use it before I speak to you guys every week, is the oil of spiritual insight. This is a blend that encompasses frankincense, sandalwood, lavender, myrrh, and some other essential oils as well. But those ones are the kind of the fundamentals. Now, I've talked briefly on frankincense and what an amazing oil that is. It's called the king of the oils, and myrrh is called the queen of the oils, its counterpart. Myrrh is connection with the divine feminine, essentially. And so it's going to kind of help raise or raise the divine feminine within you. The same way frankincense is the king of oils, it connects in with the divine masculine. Using these two together really invigorates your energy, really brings it home, grounds it, solidifies it, makes it work for you. And again, alongside like lavender, which is again the oil of communication, being able to transfer all this knowledge, all this power and empowerment through to your cells. And sandalwood is a massive, sandalwood's still used for prayer and healing and meditations by the rishis and the sages in India, and around the world, well, mostly around Australasia, but across the world in private practice as well, to really invoke a divine connection within that is grounded and yet open to source, to God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, however it is that you associate with that higher consciousness. And so the anti-aging blend that it was quite anti-aging blend of the oil of spiritual insight. I use it on my third eye. I use it up and down my spine, and I use it on my throat chakra as well. So, and often around my heart. In fact, it's kind of like here. I'll douse myself in that before I begin our sessions. And also when I do any of my coaching, I'll often use that as well to be able to gain insight, to be able to feel and connect more deeply in with my clients. I'll often use the blend from doTERRA that's called Immortelle. So I'll just read out a little bit about this. It says essential oils have been used since antiquity to assist meditation practices, prayer and spiritual worship. The blend that I've been talking about, Immortelle, combines the power of high vibrational oils alongside grounding oils to assist the connection between spirit and body, heaven and earth. So again, it's beginning, using the body as a conduit between higher consciousness and earth consciousness. The blend encourages positive states of being and supports the development of faith, hope, gratitude, kindness, love, patience, and trust in the divine. So it's really about opening yourself up to the joy as well, the security that you find when you connect in with the divine, when you recognize yourself as a spark of divinity. And it really helps to speak your truth, and what I've done is I've integrated for my own personal practice certain oils into certain times of my day, whereby I can really use them to invigorate a teaching that I've already learned. So for example, with meditation, I'll always use this blend or frankincense, one of the two. I find the frankincense really comes out, it really jumps out to me from the blend. So that's why I've used frankincense before in the past. But again, I will often, from a meditation, put it onto the third eye. At that third eye, it might even go all the way up to the top of the forehead here. I'll also put it on the back of my neck or behind my ears, just somewhere where it's close in with the circulation, close into the brain. I'll often use it to smell. So then again, same as I do with the kids, a little drop in my palms, give it a little rub, and then just sit there for about the first sort of 5-10 breaths with my hands cupped over my face, breathing deeply in and just centering and feeling where those oils go. This is something that I've been doing for a few months now, is really engaging in with the oils and feeling in where the oils go as volatile compounds, recognizing that, recognizing where it is that they travel to within myself, within my body, as a way of reflecting back, I suppose, my own health to me, how I'm feeling that day. If a lot of stuff centers around the heart, around the lungs, or around the throat, I know that, that might be to do with the heart-centeredness that I'm bringing into my work, and speaking my truth, that kind of something needs to almost birth. I often read into it in my own mind before I actually vocalize or write down what it is that I feel like I've experienced. But it's fascinating, and when you're used to using them for yourself, and you go regularly to the same ones for the same sorts of things, but then sometimes something will come up, and I'll be like, oh, what do I need for that? And I literally will look across the names, reciting almost in my mind's eye the knowledge, all the information that I've ingested and I've absorbed about the oils and what it is that they can do for me. And then when I smell the oil, I'll take the oil out and undo the top and then smell the oil and just be like, okay, am I feeling into that now? Do I actually feel like that's an oil that will support me, that will help me? And I do this with my clients as well. I invite them to invoke the limbic brain, invite them to feel into themselves and their own needs. And we've had great success through that. One of the newer oils on the market that I'm using a lot as well is, and I'm not sure how you say it, but it's copaiba. It's being billed as a skincare oil, but it's actually a cannabinoid as well. Part of the plant is a cannabinoid, which has higher levels of cannabinoid, as a certain strain of cannabinoid in it, that is equal to sort of CBD oil. And as you're probably aware, CBD oil again is becoming kind of a bit of a buzzword. And being used for all sorts of things, being used for supporting health as well as treating disease. Fabulous oil that really helps with pain, again, almost instantaneously. And copaiba is the same sort of thing. Again, I might mix this in with my wintergreen, to be able to treat the muscle fatigue that I might have. But it's also a great one, according to Dr. Hill from doTERRA. He's a very knowledgeable man and one of the founders of the brand that I use. He's also talked about the benefits, again, of ingesting copaiba to be able to decrease inflammation and increase antioxidant levels within the body. And of course, antioxidants fight free radicals, the toxins that we're taking in through pretty much everything these days. And so, that's an amazing response that you can get through the oils as well. And that's called copaiba, that one, which is relatively new to the market. Give it a little Google and see what it's got to say. See if it's something that you think might be able to support you. I think it's got a beautiful smell. It's it's quite woody in its nature, but there's definitely some quite subtle undertones there as well. So using essential oils every day has become like a practice for me. I'll, like I say, wake up and go into my own practice, which always starts with a meditation that's dropping myself into me. And then I'll apply the oils that I feel would help me most and will support me most throughout the day before I do my asana practice, my yoga practice, my physical practice. So I'm also got that in my mind, and I'm often thinking about things that will keep me in my body, keep me from thinking outside of my body too much. I really want to be present in myself, within my body, and use the oils that you're kind of, feeling into in that sense. If you do decide that this is something that you'd like to pursue, I can highly recommend the Modern Essentials app and indeed the Modern Essentials book. There are loads of books out there on essential oils, but this one for me is quite factual. It's written out a little bit more like a sort of a textbook rather than a coffee table book, and that resonates with me. I like to be able to, read how it is that certain information has been gained. I like to be able to read different blend recipes and stuff as well that doTERRA have done. There's loads of kind of little ways that you can use this and get oils into your life. And of course you can use them for the more mundane things as well, like cleaning. It's a fully natural cleaner. Lemon oil is fantastic. Orange oil again as well. You can mix them with some white spirit vinegar and some oil. It is equal parts vinegar, oil, and then about 5 drops of essential oil. And you'll be able to clean off kind of almost any surface. Like I've even cleaned out my oven with an essential oil blend, which, when you think about the chemicals that we use in our house, it's no wonder that some scientists are saying that actually the air that you breathe in your house can be up to 400 times more toxin, what's the word, more polluted, if you like, than the air outside your front door, which feels crazy. But I can see how it happens if you're, regularly using chemicals to clean the house, that you are using chemicals on your body and in your hair, spraying and moussing and gelling and all the other sort of things that you'll use. You can smell those things. There's some part of them, again, are volatile, that are being introduced into your body via the air that we breathe, and that smell that you're breathing in as well. And again, for me, it's kind of like the more natural I can make my healthcare, the more I feel like it's holistic, the more I feel like it's supporting me, the more preventative I feel it is. And this is certainly the place that essential oils have come to me, in terms of being really preventative healthcare, and preventative on so many levels, that I can use them when I'm experiencing grief. I can use them when I've got a stomach ache, and I can use them to calm and center myself before a class, during a class, after class, whenever it is that I need to kind of center in and calm down a little bit. And they've been invaluable. And so it's really about building these sorts of things into your life. Now, if you're the sort of person that gets out the shower and lathers on, a cream, maybe, a cocoa butter, something like that, then think about introducing the oils in as well. You can blend just a couple of drops of the essential oils in with a carrier oil, which could be coconut oil, could be olive oil, could be almond, jojoba. There's so many out there at the moment. You can use any one of those carrier oils to just drop a couple of drops, 1 or 2, depending on the area that you're covering, in with that, and then rub that over your skin. And this is an Ayurvedic method, and Ayurveda has brought down the essence of essential oils and how they can help you for over 8,000 years. So, again, an ancient science, which is just being backed up, essentially, just being proved by modern science now. Excuse me, have a little drink. Clear the throat a little bit. So Ayurveda really encourages the use of oils to protect and prevent any skin issues, and also to help with the joints, help lubricating the joints. Again, once the oils are all absorbed, of course, that's going into your immediate system straight away and can be absorbed by the tissues there, which help with joint health, which help with cartilage, help with tendons. And again, any inflammation that might have come up around there. So, I feel like it's important to use these and to really begin to think of yourself, dividing yourself up into kind of all the different and amazing, wonderful parts that make up you, and then seeing how it is that you can best support them with the oils or with herbology, anything that's really come from directly from nature. So every day I'll wake up and I'll have a shower after my session and everything. So after I've come downstairs and anointed myself and decided based on what my meditation has brought back to me, what it is that I really want to practice that day to enable myself to shift past stuff that might be holding me back or stay grounded in the good stuff. I'll often use essential oils for that as well. And then again, like I say, share with my clients. But when I come out of the shower, I will put on a blend of black sesame seed, which is supposed to be a good one for me and my dosha, my Ayurveda. And I'll drop a couple of drops in there of something as well. I've been known to use yang yang, lots of different blends. I haven't used frankincense straight because it's actually quite an expensive oil, but lavender for sure. I've used lavender again on the soles of my feet because the soles and the hands have the most open and largest pores on the body. So whenever if you even give somebody a massage, note that you're absorbing whatever it is that you're massaging into them as well. So if you have a massage business or anything like that, then think about what it is that you're taking on board for your client as well. You might have prescribed something for them, but recognize that you're taking that on board as well, and see if there isn't something you could intercede in with an essential oil, something like that. See if you can't do that. So essential oils are something that I use every day on my skin, on my internal self, like I've talked about, taking them in through aromatherapy, through sniffing, through the sense of smell, and associating that with certain things so that you can train the brain into feeling confident in situations, feeling upbeat in certain situations, feeling calm in certain situations, all this sort of stuff. And now I want to talk really about like the kind of the emotional and spiritual connection as well. Because of course, one of the things that you can help if you're emotionally and spiritually connected with the oils is being able to let go of everything and just focus in on the now, whatever that might be. If you do that whilst you're kind of moving around, that can often be something that is quite volatile. But if it's the end of the day and you're listening to this and you're thinking, I'm going to try this at home, and I've got an essential oil actually, before you do anything, do a little skin sensitivity test, because some oils, like I say, do carry alcohols and chemical compounds and stuff. So you want to be able to get the best oils and use them for any of the topics, but most importantly, if you're ingesting or you're putting them directly on your skin. And then I would feel into the day and feel into my knowledge of the oils and how I feel would be best to support myself. And then I might make up a little blend or something like that, and I can rub that all over me and literally waft around the house with, this beautiful kind of smells that invoke inspiration or invoke happiness or invoke joy or invoke, contentedness, being happy with your lot, gratitude, that sort of thing as well is highly invaluable really for us all. So, to be able to control gratitude and to be able to control negative thoughts, it's amazing. To be able to hone that skill is really, I think, the first step, if not the main step, towards peace within your mind and with your soul. So I've touched briefly on the history of essential oils, which date right back past pre-Egyptian times. Some of the early documentations, the earliest books and paraphernalia that have been found, if you like, have said that essential oils have been used for different things like embalming, like healing, and it really becomes obvious that with the with the amount of essential oils that are open to us, it feels almost obvious that there must be almost an essential oil for every disease. It's just about finding out the root of that disease and how you can treat it through aromatherapy or through essential oils. I know that one of the things that I've had great success with my clients has been to use essential oils around depression, lifting depression, relieving yourself from depression, being able to come out of the negative headspace that often comes with depression, where you're really under it and you're really feeling it and you just shut down. There are a lot of oils that are designed to really open up that shutdown and really enable me as a life coach or anybody else that you see to be able to get in, because one of the things that it won't allow is a closed heart, and I think that's fabulous in itself as well. So that's kind of my take on essential oils. I've got the essential oils modern essentials book that I've been referring to. If you've got any questions, if you've got any ailments that you'd like help with, please do shout out, because it's like an encyclopedia of health. This, I can literally go through and pick out different, different oils for different issues. Even if we just start on, let's start with insomnia. So it gives a little brief first, just saying what insomnia is: the difficulty falling or staying asleep. It can be triggered by stress, medications, drug or alcohol use, anxiety or depression. And it gives you a simple solution. Excuse me. Of adding 5 drops of lavender and 5 drops Roman chamomile to 30 mils of water in a small spray bottle. Spray on your kids' pillows and sheets at night time. So I would say, insomnia for yourself, same sort of thing. Spray it on and around at night time, so that's what you can smell. So those are the volatile chemicals in your in your room, in your breathing space, in your localized environment. And then it goes on with a couple of, like, all the oils that you can use. So we've got restful blend, lavender, orange, Roman chamomile, spikenard, cypress, ylang ylang, invigorating blend, marjoram, petitgrain, lemon, rosemary, sandalwood, sage, clary sage, and bergamot. And then it gives you a couple of like little blends as well that you can do for certain things. 6 drops invigorating blends with a few drops of lavender, applied to big toes, bottoms of the feet, and 2 drops around the navel, 3 drops on the back of the neck. So missing out the internal chakras, but very much connecting in with the external chakras there as well. Combining, this is recipe number 2, combining 2 drops Roman chamomile, 6 drops geranium, 3 drops lemon and 4 drops sandalwood. Add 6 drops of this to the blend with your bath. Add 6 drops of this blend to your bath at bedtime, and combine 5 drops with 2 tablespoons of fractionated coconut oil for a massage after the bath. So you can literally lie in it, smell it, absorb it, and then afterwards mix it with a bit of a carrier oil, coconut or almond or jojoba or avocado, whatever it is that you're using. You add a couple of drops of the essential oil, and then you go out and use. You literally kind of get yourself all ready for it, lather yourself up, put on an old dressing gown or something like that, go and sit for a little while, and then you can either wash it off or you can get dressed, whatever. It would have been absorbed by the body by then, and see if you can feel the differences. See if you can feel the stress melt away, for example. One of the things that I've got as well, I'm just reminded, because I've just put my hand down to stop it, is one of my friends brought me like a little aromatherapy. You can see just like a little tree of life thing there. It's a beautiful necklace as well. It's got like the little triangle and the circle made of diamante, and the little tree of life on the front. It's just literally, if you open it up, it's a bit like a locket. Okay, here we go. Oh, no. Can I open you up today? Are you going to let me? You let me earlier, so I could put a leaf. Here you go. Yeah. Oh. So it's struggling with this online. My goodness. Right, here we go. It is one of there's the tree of life emblem, and I don't know if you can see that one. It's got these little felt pads inside that you just drop the essential oils on. And today I'm using Console because I've had a couple of weeks, and today felt like a little bit of a sad day, really. So I'm using Console just generally throughout the day, and it has really helped kind of lift my mood, lift my sense of grief around the passing of one of my family members, and at the same time, it's kind of kept me grateful, kept me lucky to be alive, you know, all those sorts of things. That's what I'm kind of been praying on today, actually, is how lucky I feel to be alive and still in this dimension, still here, and, you know, and able to talk to you all about these sorts of things. So yeah, that's, you know, great book, full of factual information. If you've got any questions about anything, if you'd like to know what oil would be good for you, anything, then you can jump into the chat here and we can find out. That's no problem at all. Otherwise, my main recommendation with essential oils is to spend the money on getting pure therapeutic grade, certified therapeutic grade oils that you're going to be using. I've put a link below on my WordPress site that you probably would have come in on here to my my page for the essential oils. But you feel into it yourself. Obviously, you must make the decision that you need to make as terms of brand and stuff like that. One of the reasons that I made the transition with this brand is because I believed in their ethos. I like the way they treat people. I like the things that they do. I like the way they've kind of got a few fingers in a few pies, but essentially there's not a lot going on. There's one project a year, and you know, right now you're focusing in on that one thing. So just keep kind of using oils over and over again for one thing so that you train the mind. Handy hints for children. Lavender's a great one for sleep, for calming, for cuts, for bruises, for burns. Orange, wild orange, is the oil of abundance, something that's really a pick-me-up for anybody suffering from anxiety or from, you know, brain fatigue, you know, something like that. Again, you know, the oil really kind of lifts you up, picks you up, and inspires you to go onward. There are so many oils, I can't possibly go through them all. But if you do have a question or anything that you'd like to ask, please do write in and I will endeavour to reply to you as soon as possible. So that's it, I think, for today. I really wanted to talk about how kind of these ancient antidotes are still really around for us all. You know, invite them in. Invite them in. Your body loves them. You respond on a completely holistic level to them all. Feel into your intuition, your gut health, your gut intuition around the essential oils. Don't just take them because I've said that they'll be good. Have a sniff to begin with. If you really hate the smell, then don't use that. Use something else that has a similar equivalent or something like that too. So yeah, I mean, it's not always easy, you know, traveling around with so many bottles of oil and stuff. I know it's become a pain in the bum. I've got a little thing here that I carry around everything. This is my carrier oil, my doTERRA coconut oil, which has had the fat taken out of it so that I can actually use it, squeeze it out. It's been amazing. Great move, doTERRA. And then I've got literally this little bag full of oils that I take with me so that I'm ready for every eventuality. And it's packed up ready for tomorrow now. So I've got a little bit of cypress. I've got elevation, which is another blend. I've got breathe, which is another blend. In tune, another blend. Deep blue, another blend, and patchouli. So the only two sort of pure. No, hang on. There's more. I was going to say I thought there's more. Oh, I've got sandalwood, which is another nice pure one, and frankincense. So it's equal landings actually in terms of the blends or the individual oils, but I use them all for different things. So in tune, I will use first thing in the morning for my yoga practice. I love this smell. It's quite earthy, it's quite heady, but it's really centers me, really keeps me focused in on my day, and more specifically in on my own practice so that my mind doesn't start trying to plan things for later on. So I'm, you know, working through that with the in tune at the moment, which has been fantastic. Then I've got the deep blue, as I said, which is really for muscles, again for my clients as well as myself. Breathe, alongside eucalyptus, is one of the best oils, I think. It's the circulatory system responds very well to breathe, as you might imagine from the name. I actually think they've rebranded it, called it air as well, so that's a bit strange, but okay, fine. But again, it, you know, for anyone with a cold, for anyone with asthma, for anyone who has any kind of trouble breathing, breathe is a great alternative to constantly using your inhaler and taking effectively kind of, medicines into your body to counteract that. Then I've got elevation, which is really about kind of, I suppose, just elevating the soul up. It's a high vibrational energy blend. It's again quite sort of citrusy, but not too bad. It feels like it's more come from like the plant of the orange, like from the bark or something like that. Then I've got cypress, which is the oil of motion and flow. Again, another great one to use with your yoga practice. I've got patchouli. I touched briefly on patchouli the other day. It's really, I think, let me just get it up in the emotions book, because patchouli is one of my favourite ones. It invites you to really connect in with your physical self, and it is called the oil of physicality. Patchouli supports individuals in their physical body. It balances those who feel devitalized and who seek to escape the body through spiritual pursuits or other forms of distraction. Patchouli tempers the obsessive personality for bringing them down to reality and teaching them moderation. This oil is grounding and stabilizing. So that's just the first paragraph in patchouli. But I think it gives you a nice idea as to why I might want to use it personally. And I think that's about your lot today. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Again, like I say, my clip is down on the bottom of the WordPress document that you would have access to know what's going on in the show today. Do have a little look around. Do have a think about, bringing yours in. There is actually a booking form thing on there as well. So if you feel to yourself like, actually, this could be really good for me or my daughter or my son, this is what we're going through at the moment. And it would be a lovely support aid to have. Then, use that as well. But the app that you can get on your phone is very good. The Modern Essentials book, like I say, the Emotions in Essential Oils book as well. And if you go onto Facebook and you look up the Essential Evolution, I've also opened up a Facebook page as well that you can find out information on, different tour dates and stuff like that, just so that I can really begin to build a bit of a tribe around these oils, because I'm just totally in awe of the communication that goes on a cellular level between plants and humans. And we've spoken about it briefly before, but it just feels so huge at the moment. And I think, you just got to feel into it all, feel into your intuition, read up on things, use the app, use the books, and if you've got a question, ask the World Wide Web, because the majority of people on there who kind of are looking at this sort of stuff as well might not know the answer to the question that is paramount for you to be able to know. The other half might know it, but actually they only knew it when it was said. They were struggling to answer it as well. So there's no such thing as a bad question. Okay, there are only questions. That's it. But it's a beautiful practice, waking up and being able to almost treat and support yourself straight away. Coming out of practice knowing, okay, today I need to be really, really focused. So I've got my Motivate blend on. I've got my carrier oil, and I'm ready to go. And again, I will start from the feet, work up in circular motions, working around the knees, working around the backs of the thighs, up onto the outside edge of the thighs, working down in between the groin, onto the stomach, onto the lower back, and then just working your way up until eventually I stop around here and I just use the products on my face, because I'm, worried really a little bit about blackheads and stuff like that, especially, living in London. But yeah, that sort of thing is open to you as well. So feel positive about everything that you can do for yourself. Holistic health, like I say, has been around forever. It's not going anywhere. And people are pioneering new information about it, new ways of being able to use the oils integrated into your life as part of school, as part of a way of teaching, which I think is actually very, very progressive. And actually fills me with glee to think that something like this, something as easy and something as important as plant, flower, trunk life can be, if you like. And again, like I say, the way that it's all sort of harvested. So some time that's cultivated at the beginning of the year, for example, would be useless, absolutely useless, but cultivate it at the end of the year and you've got the flowers come out, you've got the buds and everything. It's a really, really happy plant. And that's really what we want. We really want, you know, we really want to stay in a state of balance, in a state of homeostasis. And I definitely believe that these oils can help you there as well. So thank you so much for listening. Any questions I'll continue to answer after the session tonight as well. As always, love and light. And I hope to see you again next week, where we're going to be talking about ayahuasca, which is quite exciting. So yeah, if you're interested in the ancient herb laws and, you know, the ways that essential oils can help you, please get on my doTERRA information strip, which will tell you everything about it. Failing that, if you don't want to go through that, then just go through Google and start Googling lavender essential oil, that sort of thing, and skip down to the bit where there's actually information there for you. So again, thank you so much for listening. Take care of yourselves. Love and light. Signing out. Good night.
Humanity has been on an epic journey of discovery, learning the truth about the world we live in. New discoveries about the true origins of humanity, ancient history, free energy, as well as the systematic corruption of world governments are now on the forefront of our daily reality. Is the world headed towards destruction based on control and power? Or is an opportunity now being presented to shift and uplift into a higher consciousness? My name is Mel V, co-founder and creative director of Conscious Consumer Network, an independent broadcast network that was launched on the 1st of January 2015. In the last 3 years, Conscious Consumer Network has broadcast over 2,800 shows in multiple languages, featuring guests from across the world, whilst creating media that is aimed at the creation of a free, fair, peaceful, just, sustainable world. Conscious Consumer Network provides full training and an interactive support network for all broadcasters, and we are always looking for inspiring and educational content.
Hi, this is Lady Liberty.
And this is Mira Siegel.
In 2018, Conscious Consumer Network has expanded to multiple broadcast locations, increasing our availability and reach across the world, remaining on the cutting edge of independent media. If we wish to create a better world, we must first create better media, geared towards real education instead of indoctrination. You guys really are what changing the world is going to be about. It's educating kids at a grassroots level. Having become a pillar of stability in the turbulent world of independent media, we have even more going on in 2018. Conscious Consumer Network is a publicly funded network, and we rely on all of you to keep us on the air. Show your support for independent media by donating to our 2018 Network Support Fund. Dare to seek a better world. Support independent media.